Okay, so you want to be a columnist. Well, you're definitely in the right place if that's the case. Because today we're going to be diving deep into what it takes to make it in the world of opinion writing. And let me tell you, there is a ton of info out there. Websites, guides, FAQs, the whole shebang. But don't worry, we're going to break it all down for you.
It really is a fascinating time to be in this field, and one of the things that really jumps out from the research you've given us is this emphasis on going beyond just having opinions,
Yeah.
especially from this RoleCatcher platform.
Yeah, for sure. It's easy to think, oh, I've got strong opinions, I could be a columnist. But RoleCatcher digs a little deeper.
They make a really important distinction between columnists and reporters.
Right.
Like imagine a reporter covering a political debate. They're going to give you the facts, what happened, who said what. But a columnist, they're going to take those facts and analyze them.
Yeah.
Tell you why it matters to you personally. They might even challenge your perspective a little bit.
It's about shaping the conversation, not just reporting on it. And that actually makes me think about something else RoleCatcher talks about, the skills you need. It's not just about writing skills either. They highlight hard skills and soft skills.
Yeah, and that's key in such a competitive field.
Definitely.
Think about it. You're pitching a controversial opinion piece to a tough editor. You need the writing chops for sure, but you also need that art of persuasion, negotiation, knowing how to read the room, so to speak.
That is such a good point. It's not just what you know, it's how you communicate it, how you build those relationships, how you navigate the whole industry. It's interesting they even highlight social perception as a key skill.
And that ties right back into something else from RoleCatcher. They have this whole section on the pros and cons of being a columnist.
Yeah.
And they're not afraid to say it's a competitive field. To really stand out, you need that unique blend of hard and soft skills.
So for someone just starting out, where do they even begin? It seems like there's a million different paths.
Well, RoleCatcher actually does a good job of outlining those paths. They have this section called Career Stages. Think of it like a roadmap. It starts with entry-level stuff like writing for local publications, and then it gradually moves towards more senior positions, where you might be influencing a wider audience writing for bigger publications.
I like how they use those example profiles to illustrate the different stages. It makes it feel much more tangible and less like some abstract ladder you have to climb.
Definitely. It's super motivating to see those real-world examples. It's like, hey, this person started where I am now and they made it. Maybe I can too.
It's not just a list of job titles. It's like you're getting a glimpse into the possible future of your columnist journey. Speaking of journeys and the future, we can't ignore the elephant in the room. AI. RoleCatcher seems pretty gung-ho about its potential in this field. They've got tools for everything from crafting the perfect CV to interview prep.
It's definitely an area of huge potential and, let's be honest, a little bit of anxiety.
Right. I mean, on the one hand, AI can streamline things, maybe give you an edge. But then again, could AI actually replace columnists one day?
And even if it doesn't fully replace them, how do you as a writer leverage these tools without losing that essential human element that readers connect with? That's the million-dollar question.
That's it, exactly. You know, that unique voice, that perspective, the ability to start a conversation and spark debate. You can't get that from an algorithm, can you?
Exactly. And that's something RoleCatcher emphasizes as well. Even with all their AI tools, they stress the importance of authenticity, making genuine connections. Because at the end of the day, you're not writing for an algorithm, you're writing for human beings.
That's so true. And that human connection is more important than ever in our increasingly digital world.
Absolutely. It's like the more technology advances, the more we crave that human element. And for a columnist, that means being able to think critically, take a stance, express your ideas in a way that's engaging and thought-provoking.
It's about cutting through the noise with something real, something that truly resonates with people. Which makes me wonder, how do you actually do that? What are the practical steps to developing that kind of voice and presence as a columnist?
Well, one thing RoleCatcher talks about is building a strong portfolio. They suggest writing consistently, even if it's just for a personal blog or contributing to a small local publication at first.
So it's about proving yourself, showing potential employers what you can do.
Absolutely. And it's not just about the writing itself. It's about demonstrating that you can generate ideas, meet deadlines, handle feedback professionally.
All those essential skills. And speaking of essential skills, I noticed RoleCatcher points out that even entry-level columnists are expected to collaborate effectively with editors, stay on top of current events, and this one is huge. Stick to those deadlines.
Oh yeah, those are non-negotiables in this field. But as you gain experience and confidence, you can start pitching your work to larger publications.
That's where networking comes in, right? Building those connections within the industry.
Networking is invaluable. And RoleCatcher has some great advice on that. Attending industry events, connecting with other writers and editors online, basically becoming an active participant in the larger conversation.
I like that. But amidst all the practical advice, I appreciate that RoleCatcher also emphasizes the importance of staying true to yourself throughout the process.
Oh, absolutely.
It's easy to get caught up in trying to please everyone, especially in a competitive field like this.
It's so tempting to try and mold yourself into what you think others want. But the most compelling columnists are the ones who stay true to themselves. They know who they are, and they're not afraid to share their unique perspective.
It's about carving out your own niche, honing your voice, and ultimately building a loyal readership that trusts your insights.
Exactly. And building that trust takes time, dedication, consistent effort. It doesn't happen overnight.
It sounds like a challenging but ultimately incredibly rewarding path, especially for someone with a real passion for sharing their ideas and engaging in meaningful conversations.
Without a doubt. And speaking of engaging in meaningful conversations, I'm really enjoying this deep dive with you.
Me too. Before we wrap up, I want to circle back to something RoleCatcher mentioned that really struck me. The idea of tailoring your CV for each job application.
It's an interesting point. On the one hand, you want to highlight your most relevant skills and experience for each potential employer.
Right. You want to showcase the aspects of your background that align with what they're looking for.
Yeah.
But in a world where algorithms are increasingly used to screen candidates, I can't help but wonder how much of your true self do you risk losing in that tailoring process?
It's a balancing act for sure. It's about finding that sweet spot between presenting your skills in a way that resonates with employers, without sacrificing the core of who you are as a writer.
Because it's not just about landing any job right. It's about finding the right opportunity for you, one where you can thrive and do your best work.
Exactly. And that requires a lot of self-awareness, knowing your strengths, your passions, even your non-negotiables. What do you absolutely need in a work environment to feel fulfilled? And what are you willing to be flexible on?
Right. Once you have that clarity, you can approach those applications more strategically. You're not just trying to fit a mold. You're looking for a place where your unique skills and perspectives are truly valued.
It becomes less about contorting yourself to fit an opportunity, and more about finding the right opportunity that aligns with your authentic self.
That's a great point. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway for our listeners who are eager to break into the world of column writing?
I think it's about embracing the journey. Develop your skills, find your voice, build your network, and never be afraid to let your true self shine through in your writing. The world needs more authentic voices, and that starts with being true to yourself.
I love that. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of column writing. It's been a fascinating journey.
The pleasure was all mine.
To you, dear listener, we hope this deep dive has given you valuable insights and a renewed sense of excitement as you embark on your own writing journey. Remember, the power of the written word is immense, and your unique voice deserves to be heard. Now go out there and make your mark on the world one column at a time. It really is all about that human connection, though, isn't it?
Yeah.
Especially in a world that's becoming, more and more digital. It feels like finding ways to make your voice heard amidst all the noise is more important than ever.
It's kind of like we're facing this paradox now. The more advanced technology gets, the more valuable that human element of connection becomes. And for a columnist, I think that translates to being able to think critically, to take a stance, and really express your ideas in a way that's engaging and thought-provoking,
Yeah, totally. It's about cutting through all that noise with something real, something that people can connect with on a human level, which kind of makes you wonder, how do you actually do that? Like, what are the practical steps to developing that kind of voice and presence as a columnist?
Well, RoleCatcher talks about this idea of building a strong portfolio. They even suggest, just writing consistently, even if it's just for a personal blog or contributing to, a local publication.
So it's about kind of proving yourself right, like
Yeah.
showing potential employers what you can do, giving them a taste of your style.
Exactly. And it's not just about the writing itself either. It's about showing that you can generate ideas, that you can meet deadlines, you can handle feedback, all that good stuff.
Right, all those essential skills. And speaking of essential skills, I noticed RoleCatcher points out that even entry-level columnists are expected to be able to collaborate with editors, stay on top of current events, and this one's a big one. Stick to those deadlines.
Yeah, for sure. Those are non-negotiables in this field.
Yeah.
But I will say, as you gain experience and confidence, you can start pitching your work to larger publications.
That's where the networking comes in, right?
Mhm.
Building those relationships within the industry.
It's huge. And RoleCatcher actually gives some pretty solid advice on this, Attending industry events, connecting with writers and editors online, basically just putting yourself out there and being an active participant in the conversation.
I like that. But amidst all the practical advice I do appreciate how RoleCatcher also emphasizes the importance of staying true to yourself throughout the process.
Oh, absolutely.
It's so easy to get caught up in trying to please everyone, especially in such a competitive field.
It really is. You can feel tempted to mold yourselves into what you think others want. But honestly, the most compelling columnists are the ones who stay true to themselves. They have a strong sense of who they are and what they believe in, and they're not afraid to share that with the world.
It's about carving out your own niche, honing your voice and building a loyal audience that trusts your insights.
Exactly. And that kind of trust that takes time and dedication, it definitely doesn't happen overnight.
It sounds like a challenging path, but also incredibly rewarding, especially for someone with a passion for sharing their ideas and really engaging in meaningful conversations.
Without a doubt. And speaking of engaging in meaningful conversations, I'm really enjoying this deep dive with you.
Me too. Before we wrap up, though, I wanted to circle back to something RoleCatcher mentioned that really struck me. This idea of tailoring your CV for each job application.
Oh, yeah, that's interesting. I mean, on the one hand, you do want to highlight your most relevant skills and experience for each employer, right?
Right. Like you want to showcase the parts of your background that best align with what they're looking for. But in a world where algorithms are being used more and more to screen candidates, I can't help but wonder how much of your true self do you risk losing in that tailoring process? It's like, are you just presenting the most polished version of yourself? Or are you actually losing a bit of your authentic self in order to fit into that algorithm?
Yeah, that's the challenge, isn't it? It's about finding that balance between showcasing your skills, but also staying true to who you are as a writer.
Because it's not just about getting any job. It's about finding the right opportunity for you, one where you can actually thrive.
Absolutely. And that takes a good bit of self-awareness, I think. You got to really know your strengths, your passions, even your non-negotiables. What are the things you absolutely need in a work environment? And what are you willing to be a bit more flexible on?
That's a good point. So once you have that clarity, you can approach those applications strategically. You're not trying to fit a mold anymore. You're actually looking for that perfect fit for you.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It becomes less about contorting yourself and more about finding that opportunity where you can truly be yourself.
Love that. So as we wrap up this deep dive, what's the biggest takeaway for our listeners who are, really trying to break into this field?
I'd say it's all about embracing the journey you know. Develop your skills, find your voice, build your network, and never be afraid to let your true self come through in your writing. We need more authentic voices out there, and that starts with being true to yourself.
Couldn't agree more. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into the world of column writing. It's been a pleasure as always.
Likewise.
To you, dear listener, we hope this deep dive has given you some food for thought, maybe even inspired you to take the next step in your own writing journey. Remember, the power of the written word is immeasurable, and your voice deserves to be heard. So go out there and make your mark on the world, one column at a time. Until next time, happy writing.